Hello and welcome to the Transcend and Succeed podcast, a unique platform dedicated to the exploration of taboo topics that often go unspoken in the realms of spiritual development and personal experience. I'm your host, Dawn Livingston, and I want to provide you with knowledge to help you change your perception and open your mind to new possibilities and new opportunities for spiritual expansion, personal growth, and profound transformation. In a world where certain subjects are often shrouded in silence, I believe in fostering candid and open discussions about the uncharted territories of our inner worlds. My guests will have had extraordinary experiences and will share their insights and journeys, inviting you to embrace the unexplored aspects of your own existence, both physical and non-physical. Join us on this illuminating and enlightening journey as we challenge taboos and empower you to transcend limitations and truly succeed in your spiritual and personal evolution. Welcome to the Transcend and Succeed podcast. And welcome to the Transcend and Succeed podcast, where today we are delving into the mysteries of energy flow to help guide beginners on their journey to understanding and harnessing the power of higher vibrations in their lives. So I'm Dawn Livingston, and I'm excited to embark on this exploration with you. And of course, I have the lovely Patricia Kennedy joining us with her wealth of information. So in this podcast, we'll help unravel the secrets of energy dynamics, from the subtle frequencies that permeate our existence to the tangible manifestations in our daily lives. So whether you're curious about the transformative potential of crystals, the impact of clothing choices on your energy field, and yes, clothing has a frequency, or the healing properties of nutrition, to name but a few things, we have got you covered. We will help navigate the realms of energy healing, lifestyle changes, and spiritual practices, empowering you to cultivate a life of balance, peace, and vitality. So let's learn how to raise our energy by embracing higher energy practices and making good choices. So hello, Patricia, my darling. How are you?
I'm great. How are you, Dawn?
I am
Nice
fine.
to see you.
All the best for seeing you.
Thank you.
Let's start with the basics. So will you tell us how you see energy, how you perceive it? So explain that to us.
My perception from my experience is that energy is like a field. It's really a field, and everything's in the field. So you'll experience it through personal interaction, like it'll engage with you. So let's say you hear a loud bell ring, you could feel that vibration. And so that's the vibration of sound. So to me, energy can be vibration, it can be frequency, it can be sound, it can be the vibrations from colors, it can be the vibrations from anything in nature. Crystals, a lot of the things that we're going to talk about, well, everything we're going to talk about is energy, and it's conscious. There's a consciousness to the energy. So to me, energy is a broad net cast over a lot of things that we engage with in our environment. And yeah, that's my experience of it. I can experience it through, well, I'm not going to do any spoilers. But a lot of the things we're going to talk about today, obviously, are going to fall underneath that umbrella. How about you, Dawn? How do you perceive it?
I usually just say energy is everything and everything is energy, because it's a force that permeates everything in the universe. So it's transcending, physical manifestations to influence all aspects of reality, I suppose. And it's the consciousness, it's the essence of life, existing in, sort of various forms, vibrations, frequencies, resonance. And it just connects with everything in the universe. I mean, we're told we're separate, we're not separate, we're individuals, but we're all connected through this kind of huge tapestry of the universe. It's all just kind of sewn together. And I feel it underlies, thoughts, emotions. It's through everything because we know that thoughts and emotions each have a specific resonance, a specific frequency, and it's in absolutely everything. So yeah, I mean that's the way I kind of sum it up. Energy is everything, and everything is energy. Yeah, in one way, shape, or form. Hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way of opening that up, is that it is everything and
Hmm.
everything is it. You know, people think that things that are energy are like the waves, that you can't see, or the sound that, you can't touch sound.
Uh-huh.
You can hear it, but you can't grab it and put your hands around it. Yeah, type of thing. But that doesn't necessarily define it. It becomes physical as well as subtle. So yeah, communication is energy.
Hmm.
Even mental telepathy is energy, where you're not saying anything, but you're saying something.
It's still, yeah, energy. It's just not something you can see or hear. Yeah,
Yeah.
audible. Mhm. So, for some ways, then, that because today we're going to talk about how to get the energy moving through the body, because day to day life, we encounter stresses and challenges, and we tend to let things bottle up inside, so we can block some energy flow. So we're going to talk
Mhm.
some ways that we can actually shift this and get it moving, and allow it to flow through the body, to come in and sort itself out and then go back out again without any resistance. So what are some of the ways that you could advise, that the things that we can do to help that move?
The very first is breath,
Mm,
because the more engaged you are in breath, you're moving energy through the body. You're getting everything moving, right? Movement would have been my first, but then I heard, no, it's breath, because we can't exist without breath. Breath is the spirit of our life. It's what animates us. So breath, if you do certain types of heavy breathing, controlled but heavy breathing, you can really engage the lymph to
mhm,
dump toxins and all kinds of things. It's a great animator. Motion, just move your fingers, your hands. They
mhm.
didn't create chair yoga for no reason.
I know.
People who aren't even mobile can do postures in a chair, never getting up. Obviously, they don't do any inversions, which is head down, but they can get into a lot of the same postures. So the movement and uh, gosh, communication. Like, we wake up and we've got a scratchy hoarse throat in the morning,
Mhm,
and then you get up, and the more you use your vocal box, the better all that clears up and stuff.
mhm,
It's just so many different ways. I mean, jumping jacks was a vision I got when you were talking of, in school when we were kids and they had us doing the jumping
mhm.
jacks. I mean, there's a myriad of ways, but
There
movement through breath, movement through actual motion.
Mhm,
um, you can actually, though, create movement with the mind, so you can use the power of the mind also. But to really engage um, with knowing the energetic impact on your body, it's going to take the combination of movement and breath.
mhm. Yeah. Like you said, it really helps the lymph move as well to get those toxins back out, help with the blood flow, and that helps as well energetically.
Yeah. In practices of yoga, there are times where they'll have you do what they call the locks, LOCKS. And that's where you have done this, intense breath, and then you're holding it, but you're capping it in the body. And there's an energetic impact that comes from that. But all of that is controlled, and all of that has been uh, figured out by previous ancient yogis, that if you do this, when you release that hold, that lock, that breath that comes in just moves so much throughout the body that there's this massive impact. And sometimes you'll have the energy body really move out of the body, you
Mhm,
know, and you'll be able to feel that. The more you do something, the more familiar you become about it. And familiar with how it works, you know. But yeah, breath is a big deal. And rebounding, if you're on a rebounder and you're,
Mhm.
you're breathing out real hard and then sniffing in real hard while you're rebounding, you don't even have to get far off the rebounder surface. But it's that act of the inhale and exhale and the little bounce that'll really get that lymph moving. And
Mhm.
such a simple activity,
It
you
is. I've
know?
got one. Santa brought one for me this Christmas, and
Yay.
I'm on it usually, 2 or 3 times a day for 5 minutes. And let me tell you, getting on one of those things is tough. You've got to watch what you're doing, or you could face plant the floor. Let me tell you. But I mean, I now have real strong calf muscles. They're incredibly strong. You use them
That's
all the
great.
time. Yeah, and of course that's pushing up the lymph. It's starting to push all the toxins away and starting to get them flowing again. So it is a really useful piece of gym kit, that the rebounder.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
what about energy healing modalities? I know that Reiki, because I teach Reiki, and Reiki I know flows through the body, because with the handwork, it's over each chakra, and it's putting the good energy in, and then it's taking the negative energy out. So I can experience and feel that energy flowing when I'm given a treatment. So that, I think, in other, like a qigong, with the gentle movements, and focusing on the actual body, I think it's quite refreshing, and that is quite tough as well. It gets the lymph moving because there's a lot of stretching as well. So you're getting kind of two practices in one there.
Yeah, and Tai Chi is very similar to
Tai
that.
Chi, yeah.
Tai Chi. And let's see, I did the reconnection, which was Dr. Eric Pearl's thing. And I could feel the energy coming out of my palms and my feet just when I was reading his book.
Uh-huh.
So you have these connections, or shall we say resonance, with certain practices, and the ones that you actually have a resonance, like a relationship with, are the ones that you'll get the benefit out of.
Hmm.
One's practices that you just don't seem to ever get to connect with it, it's probably not for you. You're either beyond it, or it's just not something that's for you for some reason. But
Hmm.
I was trying to think, there's a bunch that really pull up a lot of energy, but Reiki's definitely one. Toning, which is we used to tone when we did Reiki, where we'd have, like, guided sound would come out of our mouth, and it would get blown into the head or the feet of the individual.
I never did
And
that.
that just showed up. It would just showed up. I don't know,
Hmm.
came from heaven.
Hmm.
But yeah, for me too, Reiki was the first introduction for me to start to have that realization that there was something spiritually, some
Hmm.
spiritual energy outside myself that was
Yeah.
communicating with me, and then was flowing through me towards the person we were working on.
Yeah, something that's not physical, something that's above physical, but you felt it, you've experienced it, so it's true. It does work. I remember, actually, it just popped into my mind there. When I was learning Reiki, they did the energy test. So we were, heating up our hands and building up the energy, and then we would push one person over onto the chair. And I remember doing that to my husband when I got home, and he was absolutely astounded by the whole thing. Over he went, and he's like that. I could feel you pushing me over, but you were over there. So there's definitely something there. Things that you can't see doesn't mean to say it doesn't exist.
And there's no distance. I mean,
No.
that's proof that you don't have to be right with somebody to impact and influence them or benefit them.
Mhm.
Of course, you're pushing them over, but that's showing the power of the force, that there's no separation between
Mhm.
you. And in some of the practices, I can't remember all of them, but some of them, they'd have you just take the picture of the person. If the person, like, let's say you were in, Florida, I'm in Florida, and they were in New York, you'd have them send a picture, and then you put the picture on the table, and then you'd work on them.
Mhm.
And you'd have the pictures how you connect.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean that's the only way to do it. I mean, I connect with people without a picture all the time. I just know how to find their signature. But
Yeah.
there's lots of ways that you can test that too. Like I'll send people energies, and they'll say, I feel that.
Mhm.
Sometimes they'll feel it before you even start working on them.
Mhm.
So it's like the energy is already going to them previously to you even working. So that tells you you're really not even that important. You know, the divine is taken over, and that you're going to do, you have still have to go through the motion, right? But that you're really not running.
Well, here's another instance of that. Just a couple of months ago, you were having some real congestion, your nasal congestion, and I said, "Okay, go lie down, and I'll do you a drainage massage on your face."
Yeah,
And you're in Florida, and I'm in Texas, and you felt it. You felt it
I
all. You
did.
told me. It just
Yeah.
shows you
And
it works.
yeah, you just don't, there's no distance. And so
Mm-mm.
that the part where you said, we think we're separate, we're really not. It's
No.
just we've been brainwashed or conditioned to believe that we are,
Hmm.
you know. Only that's why I say the power of the mind is so powerful.
Yeah.
The mind, we can do so much with the mind.
Hmm.
But yeah, there's just so many modalities out there, it's hard to name them all. I'd say uh Reiki, Eric Pearl, and then my practice of the style of yoga that I do, which is Amrit yoga, is definitely another um, modality that taught me about my energy body.
Hmm.
And that's a style of yoga where you do the pose and then you come out of the pose. And then the second half of the pose is feeling the energetic impact. So, because every pose you do in your practice, you're feeling that energetic impact, your focus is on the energy and how it's moving around in your body and what it's doing. And the more and more your attention's on that, the more it starts to filter outside of you, and you start to become aware that you're not a body. You're
Hmm.
way much more than that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, what about some frequency tools? I know you and I have got a whole ton of stuff, or a whole raft. But crystals, for example, how would you use crystals in, the movement of energy through the body?
Well, if I would normally use a crystal if I was guided to use it. So if I was using it on myself, it would be a particular crystal that I was guided. That's the one I needed. So I would pick that up, and I would make sure the resonance between me and it, I would put it in my palm of my hand
Mhm,
and just kind of situate it around my heart to make sure that the resonance is there. And even if I'm not feeling the resonance, I'll still ask
mhm.
my higher guidance if this is the right crystal. Make sure I've got the right one, because I'm sure if you're like me, you have a multitude of clear quartz that
Just
do
a
different
couple.
things. So it's like, is this the clear quartz you wanted me to have? But yeah, and then you just kind of intuit. And sometimes just having it in your presence, like having it next to your bed or having it next to you on the desk. Yeah, you got a big beauty, don't you?
It is a
Jeez,
beauty.
it's
Yes.
gorgeous.
It's with me all the time, especially when I'm doing a healing session. I have it right close so I can put my hand on it, and it just seems to be able to speed up the process. So I really like
It's
having it around me. Mhm,
And the thing about crystals is you can instruct them.
mhm,
You can actually instruct a crystal on how you want it to work with you and what you're doing.
mhm,
So, not all of them can be, but certain ones can be. And of
mhm.
course, we don't want to forget the crystals. When you buy a crystal at the store, you should always cleanse it, because
Yeah,
they pick up energies,
they do.
and, you know,
Lots of kids
remember
touching them. Yeah.
what do you remember? I bought you and your husband, what was it? Some stone from Russia, and I
Oh,
forget the name of it
yes, I
now,
can't remember
but,
it either. The
but
black one. The black one. Mhm,
yes. And we didn't think about clearing them. And
mhm.
your husband was like telling you he was having these weird experiences with it. And it was like, oh gosh. So I looked up and it was like, we should be cleansing these.
Mhm.
And those, luckily, you could just do in water. But to real quick, I'll tell you the ones I know and you can add. I know that some crystals, you want to really do your research. Some crystals can actually be washed with water and
Mm-hmm.
with some gentle soap and then drying them off. Others, you can place that crystal right on like a piece of selenite, will clear them. You can also bury them in sand.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the others, but I'm going to let you have a few because I know you know the others.
Yeah, mostly to charge and cleanse my crystals, I'll put them in the moonlight and put them in the
Hmm.
moonlight. And then sometimes I leave them there for a couple of days and they're absolutely fine. But I find that, really gives them a good boost. So that's really my favorite one. I know what came to mind there was, cleansing of the jewelry and putting that in salt in a bag with some sea salt in it
Hmm.
to cleanse the energy from that. But I don't know whether I would put salt with my crystals because that might be a bit corrosive.
Well, you need to do your research because some of them they'll tell
Some of
you
them,
how
yeah.
the best way to cleanse them. So I
Hmm.
really advise people to do that. But yeah, it can be your, like I'm wearing like little crystal
Hmm.
that's for my auric field, but I have diamonds, my engagement ring, and I have a bracelet that has some other stones in it, what I would call fine jewelry,
Hmm.
set in gold. Those you should cleanse also.
Yeah.
And if you inherit something from your mother or your grandmother, and I don't know if you want to tell your story, they definitely need to be cleansed because they pick up the energy, good, bad, and indifferent, from the
They
people who
do.
have worn them and
Yeah.
owned them. And even if I went and bought a new piece of jewelry in a store, I would cleanse it.
Because it's passed through a lot of different hands, and it's not just the people that have owned them, it's the people that make them as well, because they are
Yes.
holding on to that for quite some time, doing this intricate work, and their vibrations pass on to that as well. So it's
Yeah,
important to note that energy transference is a thing. It
definitely.
does happen. Yeah, we don't
Definitely.
see it, but we need to be aware of it so that we can at least, take some action to eliminate anything that we feel is wrong or is not going correctly. I've had to do
Right.
that a couple of times. Yeah. But it
And
makes a
spirit's
difference.
telling me to mention the fact that something else people can research is that the finger that you wear a ring on can have
Mhm.
a different impact in the body. So, that's a whole nother level of research that can be done to know what you're wearing. There's a reason why people wear pendants that come down towards the heart. The pendant is interfacing, the stone is interfacing and communicating with the heart itself. It can be the high heart, the spiritual heart, or it can be the physical heart.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's fascinating. It really is fascinating. And if we inherit somebody's bad juju, we don't want that in our
No, we don't
life.
want the bad juju. We've got enough bad juju of our own that we want to clear. We don't want to take on anyone else's.
And by bad juju, I mean bad energy. I don't want someone to
Yes.
misconstrue what I'm going
Yeah,
to say,
absolutely.
but yeah, it's fascinating. And with the crystals, I've walked, and I know we talked about this one day. I walked into a shop one day, and there was this crystal that called to me, and it was
Mhm.
one of those peacock colored crystals that look fake, but they're not. And it just kept calling to me, and I just kept avoiding it. And so I went over, and as soon as I picked it up, my whole field went. It's like, I cannot say no to this crystal. It has to come home with me. It was not an inexpensive crystal, but that's resonance. That's when okay, I'm having a relationship with this crystal. There's a reason why I probably need this. When you find out you need it, then you better buy it.
Yeah, I know. I tend to do that. I walk into a crystal shop and I can just feel the energy. It gives me the goosebumps. And I like to, for the ones that I'm drawn to, I've got to pick them up and hold them, and feel that energy. As to what, and that'll tell you whether it's something you need or it's something that, nah, maybe you don't need that right now. But
Yeah,
it's always good to just go with your intuition and how you feel when you pick something like that up. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
So
They're
what?
they're awesome, and you can use them in healing too, meaning like on your clients and stuff
Mhm.
like that. So,
Yeah, I use them in
you
my
can,
Reiki. My Reiki, put them over the chakra points, and it just intensifies the flow of the energy. It does. It makes a difference. Mhm.
yeah.
What about tuning forks? And you can either call them sound bowls or singing bowls. those vibrations from, and they're fabulous.
Right. And you could probably throw a gong in there
Oh
too.
yeah, gong.
Um, the tuning forks are amazing because the tuning forks can actually retune your spine,
Hmm.
which will then communicate with all the organs and glands. So they're really important. And they're specific to the different chakra centers. And then there's actually the smaller chakra points they'll have some tuning forks for. And the crystal bowls, same thing. It's the vibration,
Yeah, it's
the
fabulous.
vibe. And that always takes me to remembering, like, there's a church here in Dade City, Florida.
Mhm.
It's an old Gregorian church. And when you go in there, it's got the sound chamber in there. And when you go in
Mm.
there and you just say a word, it just comes back to you, it
Wow.
vibrates. And so you can go in there and do the Gregorian chants. They'll hand you the sheets of the Gregorian chants, and a group of you do that. And you do not walk out there the same, walk out of that church.
No, you'll be
It's a little tiny
tingling
place,
on the
but
way out. Yeah, it
yeah,
does. It really changes your frequency. When we were getting our attunements, when I took my Reiki classes, when we were getting the attunements, she would put on like a Gregorian chant music in the background, and it would send shivers up my spine. It really did.
yeah,
It's just it's the right frequencies that
yeah.
that you understand and you resonate with, that are
Amazing.
helping you heal in whatever way you need to heal. So yeah, Gregorian chant, even the music, I was going to say a tape, but how old am I? You get something digital on your iPad or your iPhone, whatever. But yeah, the Gregorian chant's music is always a great frequency.
And in India, when they chant, it does the same thing,
Hmm.
and the monks, the Buddhist monks,
Yes.
they get that voice.
Yes, really low. Hmm.
But I can't do it, obviously,
Yeah,
because I'm not a
obviously.
Buddhist monk.
Yeah. The Om
But
music.
oh my Lord,
Yeah.
it gets into your field and it vibrates
Hmm.
things in your field. And oh, I just love
I
it.
know, it's amazing. It
Did
is.
the didgeridoo is like that for me. But
Didgeridoo.
when people play the didgeridoo, it just comes right up my toes, right up my legs, all the way up through my crown. It's like I feel like I'm getting a rotor-rooter wash in my body. It's awesome.
I don't think I've ever been that close to a didgeridoo.
Oh, I had a friend who had one.
Nice.
Um, yeah, and would play it. And, you know, drumming too. If you ever go to a drumming circle, you can
Mhm.
have the same effect. You just have to withdraw your senses and go inside of your body to feel it, to really just like be with it, you know? And wow, transformative, really
Yeah,
transformative.
yeah, absolutely. One of the other kind of categories, I suppose, for raising your vibration and helping the body heal and the energy to move is all about nutrition.
Oh gosh, yes.
You've got to be very
Nutrition is so
careful with your
important.
nutrition. Mhm. There's a lot of stuff out there, fake food, you know, and genetically modified food, highly processed stuff, things that are really high in sugar, that are high in trans fats. Just chime in if I'm missing anything here. Um, these are the sort of foods that keep your energy low, and your body doesn't really know what to do with it. So it can start making things, really sluggish. It can help you, it'll make you feel really sluggish. So it's important
Yeah,
to think about nutrition as something that really makes you feel better, because it's so true. What you eat, you become. What you put in, you get out. That's absolutely true. And good foods give you high vibrational frequencies, and processed foods give you really low vibrational frequencies. So we want to keep it as high as possible. So we're going to discuss some examples of that.
so I would say because there's so much discrepancy on about our food right now,
Hmm.
that I would say if you have the ability to go get your fresh produce, right, or any of your foods directly from the source.
Hmm.
So like from the rancher, if
Yeah.
you do proteins, from butcher, I mean, not from butcher, from a farmer for your fresh vegetables and your herbs and stuff like that, then you're getting it really close to its harvest.
Hmm.
You're getting it fresh. And the vibration, the fresher it is, the better, the higher the vibration. And that's going to in turn then give you more nutrition and
More
more high
healing.
vibe, a
Hmm.
higher vibe.
Yeah.
Some traditions don't eat any leftover foods. They will only eat it fresh cooked or fresh prepared, and then
Mhm.
that's it. They won't touch any leftovers.
Touched it. Yeah, I think
Like
that
it's dead food after that.
yeah, I think nutrition falls out of it after a period of time. I couldn't say how long, but I know if you leave it sitting for a while, it's just, as you say, dead food. There's no nutritional content in there whatsoever. Um, what about organic, Patricia?
Well, I think organic's good. You have to go with the USDA organic rather than the new symbol that's GMO verified. If it says non-GMO verified, it's all covered with all kinds of crap. Excuse my language.
Oh, that's all
It's
right.
covered with pesticides and herbicides and who knows what else. Whereas the old fashioned USDA GMO, non GMO symbol, which is all green, the other one has orange and green and white in it. It almost looks like carrots are in there or something. That's the orange, I guess. But the one that just says GMO, non GMO, USDA, or something like that, that one they don't use, it's organic and they don't use any pesticides. There's no synthetic anything, no chemicals. That's what you look for. And if you have to go and buy your things in the grocery store, if you're getting them from the farm stand, you just ask them, did you use
Mhm.
anything, that's toxic on this? But yeah, I mean, if you were to do a little test and just eat raw food, like salads in the summertime, and don't put anything else on it, you'll find that your energy will get really, really high.
Mhm.
You'll feel it. It'll go really up.
I love it.
And
The salads in the summer. I think that's the best time for me to eat my salads, and it
yeah,
makes sense because you feel full but not bloated. Because
yeah.
sometimes you can eat too much and you think, oh, I shouldn't eat all of that. But with salads, you can eat a lot more than that because it's not so dense. Yeah.
Depends on where
Easier
everybody lives.
digested as well. Hmm.
Well, I was going to say it depends on where you live because in Florida right now is when we're growing our salads.
Hmm.
So our salads and our tomatoes and our peppers grow really well in the winter.
Hmm.
Our spinach and our beets and our kale and all that. Those are all winter crops. They don't do very well in the summer.
Yeah, that's
So
depending where you live, I suppose. Yeah, because well, we're in Texas, but it's really
yeah,
cold right now. So it's like I don't want a salad. That's too cold. I'll have a soup. I'll have some soup instead. But in the summer, with it being hotter than Hades, I'm quite happy to eat as many salads every week as possible.
yeah,
And it's
yeah.
hard. It's hard, and I know it's hard for other people because I find it difficult here as well. I'm not living in a big city. I'm more rural, and to find somewhere that can supply, organic fruits and vegetables is a near on impossibility unless you want to pay 3 times the amount for it, which I am not happy about at all. But it's very hard to get, fresh fruits and vegetables that are organically produced. They're all conventionally produced around here. We don't see many genetically modified fruits and vegetables, but they're all, conventionally grown. And sometimes you've just got to do what you can do. Sometimes if I buy lemons, I can't get organic ones. I just have to make do with the conventional ones. But with it having such a thick skin, I don't mind quite so much. But if it's a concern, and if you need to, feel you need to detox a little, is to try and get organic where absolutely possible. That is exactly what I
Mhm.
do. Hmm.
Yeah. And I think the better quality of your food, you're probably not going to need to eat as much of it
Hmm. That's true.
because even though you're eating the other food and it's got the toxins on it, like the glyphosate.
Hmm.
The glyphosate on products and stuff, your
It's
body
horrible.
is not getting much in the way of nutrition. It's getting
Yeah.
just poison,
Poison.
a
Yeah.
poison.
Hmm.
So, it's something that you just, if you're intuitive, you're psychic, whatever, that's where you need to exercise, or I suggest that you start to exercise your talent on asking about the food that you're purchasing. Is
Mm-hmm.
this something that would give my body the nutrition it requires?
Mm-hmm.
Will it feed my frequency, whatever my signature frequency is? Because we all have a signature frequency. We're like a radio station.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a signature frequency. And even though we might eat other things that might lower our frequency, our signature is our baseline. So, you just ask, will this take me to my signature frequency or above? And if you get the answer yes, then okay, you've hit something good. Not all conventionally grown food is bad.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, unfortunately, they don't come with tags that say I'm good, I'm not.
I'm good, I'm
That's
bad. Eat
you don't
me or
want
don't
me.
eat me.
Right, right. But food is very important. And I think too, even cooked good quality vegetables will be better for your body, right? In the
Mm-hmm.
wintertime to be cooking your vegetables, but have good quality vegetables than eating other foods that are not good for you.
Mm-hmm.
I try not to do things that are canned. I try, unless I can it myself, but I try the darndest.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's not possible. Sometimes, you're stuck with it,
Yeah.
so,
Mhm.
but
At least
yeah,
you
food is
tried. At
definitely.
least you tried.
And herbs too,
Mm.
we're used to going to the grocery store and buying, I'm not even talking healing herbs, I'm just talking cooking herbs.
Mhm.
But on the shelf, the McCormick's or the Old Spice or whatever they're called, when you can go and buy fresh grown herbs,
Mhm.
you can buy them at the lawn and garden store, buy a little plant and put it in a pot, or just cut what you need off of it and know that you're getting good quality, herbs and stuff. But then you get into the healing herbs, and the healing herbs are that's God's medicine, just like the food is God's medicine. You know, you don't realize all the benefits we get from good quality food and good quality healing herbs. And, you know, it's amazing.
Mhm. I know. One
It's
other thing
amazing.
about food that we were going to talk about was hybridized wheat.
Yeah. Well, and you could say hybridized anything, right? But we'll use wheat as
We
the
use sweet as an
example.
example, yeah. Because Patricia and I, unbeknownst to each of us, we sent each other the same Christmas present this year because we'd been mentioning a few times last year that, about sourdough baking and oh, I don't know if I can be bothered with all that palaver, that takes too long, but secretly we did want to try it. So we sent each other this kit. And just before we started, to actually mix the starter to get it, kicked off, we did a little bit of research and finding that even organic wheat or, wheat flour here is hybridized. So it's not genetically modified, it's hybridized, but that still means that the body it can't recognize it as something it can consume. So that's what's been causing a lot of gut issues with people. The gluten has changed in it, so it's not something that's sitting well with a lot of people. So we were doing, some research and we found that ancient grains or heritage grains have not been either altered or genetically modified in any way, and they're all grown organic. Now we pay a lot more for it, but neither of us are getting any issues with the gut when we're consuming it. So it's to be careful and always, if you can, buy the heritage grain. You can buy it in flour, you can buy it in the wheat berries that you can mill yourself, whichever you want to do. But I think that that's made quite a difference to us and our approach, I suppose, to making it our own sourdough bread.
Yes. And you're bringing up heritage. So, heritage is the term for unchanged plants. So,
Mhm.
it can be grains, it can be vegetables, it can be fruits that have never been changed. They've never been hybridized, genetically modified, nothing. And in animal kingdom, they're called, oh, I'm sorry, I've got it wrong. it's called heirloom for the vegetables and
Yeah.
the fruits,
Mm-hmm.
and it's called heritage for the actual animals too.
Mm-hmm.
So they're calling it heritage to indicate that it's the original pig, it's the original cow, it's the original chicken, it's the original fish, it's original. It's God's creation. So they are going to be something that when you consume, your body knows what to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas anything that's been changed, your body goes, wait a minute. I don't really recognize this. What am I supposed to do with this? So
Mm-hmm.
it stores it most of the time.
Yeah.
It thinks that it's toxic. So it deals with it differently.
Yeah, it can't digest it. Yeah. So either
But yeah,
throws it onto your hips as fat or dumps it somewhere
or
else.
your arms,
I know. It's like thanks for
or
that.
other areas we won't mention.
Let me before I forget, because I know I mentioned at the start that we were going to touch on the frequency of clothing. So you
Oh,
know a lot more
yeah.
about this, so you can take it away.
Well, I don't have the frequency levels, except for I read that if you wear linen and linen by itself, the frequency is 7,000.
Hmm.
And when you wear wool, it's also 7,000, but you can't wear linen with anything else, and you can't wear it with wool because they lower the frequency. They've actually taken the meters and checked the frequencies of them. When you wear cotton, you would think, like even organic cotton, that it would be a really high vibration, 150. Then when you get into any of your synthetics, they're all like really low, like
Yeah, nothing.
60,
Hmm.
70, 80. And they say they pull your energy down. They'll make you like really dull, your energy really dull.
Hmm.
So when you combine the fabric content with colors, if you know anything about color frequencies and how, the frequency of the chakras and all that can uplift you on a vibrational state, you have a double whammy. It's a win-win. But yeah, I mean, people buy all linen sheets and sleep in those
Hmm.
because they have such a high vibe, and they claim they sleep much better.
Hmm.
I've not ever had a linen, what is it, the fitted sheet. I've had the linen top sheets, but they say no, you can't have a cotton bottom with your linen top. It's
Linen
got to be
top.
all linen, and your pillowcase too. But
There you
but
go.
I mean, it's good to have this kind of information. And we were also talking, you and I, Dawn, about hemp,
Yeah.
because hemp was outlawed, but it was like it made the strongest fabric, it made the strongest rope. I mean, they make houses out of hemp.
Hmm.
They make hemp for parachutes and all kinds of things,
Yeah.
and it's so durable.
Yeah.
And so they outlawed it because they wanted us to use trees, I guess, instead. But yeah, they used it for paper and all kinds of things.
Hmm.
So I don't know what the frequency of hemp is, but I'll bet it's somewhere around the linen. And what surprised me the most was silk. Silk is not a high
It's
vibration. It's
not.
a
I was
really
surprised at that
low.
as well. Yeah. Hmm.
So, some cultures, that's all the women wear. Like in India, the saris are mostly silk. So I'm like,
That kind of sheds some light on how I feel sometimes. And when we were talking about it a few weeks ago, I'd gone and looked at some labels, like on my jackets and my fleeces, they're all polyester. So it's no
yeah.
surprise that when you're taking this off, the static that comes through your clothes, like that, it's horrible. I don't like that feeling. So now I'm going to be more aware that when I'm shopping for clothes, I'm going to go for the higher vibrational frequency materials, for definite.
Well, do you think what's touching the skin, like if this is linen, if you were wearing a linen long sleeve and then you put your jacket on, that the whatever the content of the coat wouldn't affect you except for where it hits you here in the collar. So if you had like a scarf, then was linen or wool, that would protect your skin, and then your hands would be the only other area it would come in contact. But they say it's the whatever hits your skin.
Hmm. Interesting. It is very interesting, isn't it?
Some of these, I saw that some of the exercise wear that the women are wearing, and they don't wear panties. TMI, too much information here, but there's toxins in the fabric, and
Oh,
that's going right against that those tissue parts of your body, which would
mhm,
uptake those toxins.
mm,
So if you're like, that's the also the argument about cotton. You're buying underwear, bras, or whatever that are cotton. If they're not organic cotton, then you're going to get those toxins that they use to grow that cotton
mhm,
that's going to be in the fabric, and that's going to go against your skin.
mhm.
So, you can't be, what is the word, maniac about it. Can't be like crazy about it. Fanatical, I guess, is the word I was
Fanatical.
trying to pull
Mhm,
out. Fanatical about it. You just do the best, and you start in one area, and you start to clean that area up the best you can. And once you get into the habit of knowing, okay, I'm going to really clean this up and make sure that I'm paying more attention to this area, then you move on to the next area. It's too overwhelming to
mhm.
try to do it all at once. But
Oh yeah, little bites at the elephant.
yeah, yeah, little bites of
Little
elephant.
bites, yeah. Can't eat an elephant in one mouthful. No, got to take a little bite.
Oh, not even at one sitting.
Yeah, because it'll be overwhelming, totally overwhelming. Yeah. Okay, so were you want to say something?
Aromas,
Say what?
aromas, aromas like aromatherapy and incense,
Oh,
and
yeah, smelly candles that are not good for you. It's not good.
they're terrible for you.
Mhm,
But if you buy really good quality, like essential oils, like that's
mhm,
what I mean by aromas, essential oils that are pure, they're real,
mhm.
then you could actually cold infuse them into the air, or you could, some of them you can actually put on the skin. Some of them you have to put into a carrier to put on the skin. But just to have them in your environment, that'll waft around and change the vibration of
Yeah,
the room.
be nice.
Some of them will clean. If you've got presence of mold or mustiness or whatever, it'll go in the air and clean that out. And same with burning incense. The shaman in Peru, they have what is it called? Santo, is it Palo Santo
Palo
or something
Santo?
like that?
Mhm.
It's a piece of pine, and they burn it, and then they sage the person with it and stuff. But
Or is that
that
Palo
pine,
Alto? I can never remember.
something like that.
Mhm.
It's something like that. I can never remember it either. But yeah.
I've got
And
some of that, but I've not burnt it because I like my sage and my
they,
mugwort. So I've not tried the actual, piece of, well, it looks like a piece of bark. That's what it looks like.
yes.
Not
Yeah,
tried
it's like a
it.
little piece of the tree. I
And
was asked because Spirit knows for this application, what do I need to cleanse this
mhm,
with? And they'll tell me what to use. Sometimes white pine,
mhm,
white pine, whatever wad, like sage. Sometimes it's mugwort. Sometimes it's just good old fashioned sage.
mhm,
But yeah, I mean, obviously, with it, you can buy the incense sticks, and they can be made with fake stuff. And
mhm,
then you're burning that, and you're just basically putting chemicals into the air. So you don't really want to do that. You want to make sure that you're looking for better quality,
mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. It goes back into what we were saying about healing with herbs. A lot of the true essential oils that are made with, well, what I would call like medical grade quality,
Mhm.
because you're going to use them on your body and stuff. Some of them can be ingested, but you want to always do your research. Don't
Yeah.
assume they're all ingestible, because they're not all ingestible. And they can't always be put on the skin. Sometimes they have to be cut with a carrier oil, and then you can put them on the skin. But huge benefits from doing that.
Yep.
I guess there's a reason why the three magi brought uh, frankincense, myrrh. What is it called? Myrrh,
Myrrh,
myrrh.
gold, frankincense, and myrrh.
Yeah, gold. Well, gold. Yeah,
That
I
was
don't
their
know what
3
form of gold,
presents, wasn't it? I think. But
but
frankincense is
they.
one of my favourite ones in the form of incense anyway. It's one I like. Mhm.
I do too.
I can't
Really
find it
smells
around
good.
here, but And while we're
Yeah.
on that subject, I wanted to mention about another way that can raise the vibration of yourself in your home, and that's through smudging. So using the sage or the mugwort and just, go in with a, round your house in every room, open up all the doors and just waft this smoke in. And your intention is to clear the room of heaviness, of negativity, and to have any entity that's left behind, whatever it is that you want to clear. Make that your intention as you go all the way around. Take maybe 20 minutes, a half an hour to do your entire home. But the actual, getting into the feeling of the vibration when you're doing it is really, really calming, and it just makes you all goosebumply. We'll go goosebumply again. But that's how it affects me. And I've done my house several times, and I've done a few remote smudgings actually for some clients who I've sent them a kit, but I smudged their house from here. And that works very, very well. I smudged a woman's house who wanted to sell her house, or a house. She wanted to sell a house that had some quite heavy energy in it. So I sent off some stuff for her, and I smudged her the house from here, and they were under contract within 3 weeks. So it's got its qualities, I must admit. But yeah,
Definitely,
see if
definitely.
it's something else to do.
So what are some of you were talking about cleansing the house. What are some of the other applications for cleansings? Like, new house. Uh, do you do it while you have the house?
You can do it. I would recommend, if you're wanting to sell a house, I would recommend you do it beforehand, before your first appointment, because that will really lift the vibration of the house. It really will. It makes a difference. And then, if when you're moving into a house, you can have it staged and cleansed while you're moving in, to lift the vibration of everybody, and the emotions, and whatever it is that's been going on in there. They can be lifted so that you have a clear space to live in. Also, if anyone's been
Love it.
sick, if there's been any illness or
Hmm.
whatever,
Yeah.
absolutely go smudge the house and take away the vibration of that disease or sickness, whatever it was. Yeah, absolutely. Says your car. Says your car. Open the doors, and bless the engine, and oh yeah, to try and to get as good in the mileage on the gas as you possibly can. Yeah, do the whole lot. I smudge the garage as well. I go around, waft it in the garage, to hope that the lawnmower works and the leaf blower works, and the generator, if we need a generator, it's going to work perfectly. Absolutely. You can do it all. Everything's energy, remember? Mhm.
I wonder if you had a bad fight with your partner or your spouse, whatever, if you saged the next day, if things wouldn't, resolve quicker, you know,
There's a good
because
possibility. Yeah.
because you were talking about the entities, that anger that got exchanged
Yeah.
can be an entity. It
Yeah.
can, thoughts and, somebody getting mad, a kid slamming the door, storming off to his room,
Yeah.
all of that can create a frozen, like energetic impression
Yeah.
that could be lifted.
It does get
Yeah,
left there, so you need to lift it. Yeah, absolutely. There you
that's
go.
awesome. Well, Dawn does this. This is one of the services that Dawn provides. And
Oh, I
so
do.
if you haven't,
Yeah. I've done a
yeah,
few of them now, so
she
quite
sells
enjoy
the
it. But
kit.
I take it round and do it in my own house as well, and the cats, smudge the cats so that they're not like and run off in the other direction. But yeah, I mean, you can use it to smudge yourself. You can use it to smudge
Yes.
yourself. To engage with the cleansing and the energy flow, and anything that is negative that's in your auric field that's ready to go. Just ask for it to be released. There's so many uses, for smudging. So many things you can do with it. I just enjoy it. So I do it very regularly now. I do it at least once a month. Hmm.
That's awesome. I do it when I can tell the house needs it,
Uh-huh.
and I'll do whatever. Like I said, I'll ask what I should use, and they'll tell me, and
Yeah,
I'll use that.
there you are.
But yeah, I did recently. My grandmother passed away some 35 years ago, and the house that she lived in, I got a message that there were all these settlers that were in the backyard that had gone from the East Coast towards California, and en route they died, got ambushed and died, and that they were still lingering in the backyard. So I like delivered them, to Creator, and everything's better now. It's like, wow, I had no idea. I used to go there all the time as a kid. I had no idea there were these spirits in the backyard. She has this like 9 acres, so it's a huge piece of property. And they were all there in the yard. It's like once I could see them, I was like, oh my gosh, you guys were there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of what smudging will do is they don't have to be nefarious. They can just be like beings that are stuck, that
Yeah.
just want moving on. They just got like stuck there and they can't leave. They don't
We're
know what
not
to
quite
do. They
sure
don't know
what
where
to do.
to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I come across a
So
couple of those in my lifetime, let me tell you.
yeah, it's
So what do
fun.
you
It's
think? Do
fun
you
to be
think
able to
we've
do.
given the listeners enough to go on about ways of helping the energy flow through the body and raise your vibration? I think we've done quite a
Yeah.
few
I
there.
mean,
Yeah.
I think if you feel guided to do a spiritual practice, whatever spiritual practice you feel guided to, will probably have some components to it
Mhm.
that will feed you to, because meditation and different types of practices. Sometimes meditation is enough, and it's the type of meditation. And if you start to really research meditation, there's so many different types, but just trust that, if you just say to your soul and your higher self, guide me to the right practice,
Mhm.
they'll start to get me more in touch with myself, with the spirit and the energy within my auric field, so that I can, be more present in who I am. I think the guidance will come for you. And yeah, I think we pretty much covered it. I mean, we've left out a lot of things, but you can't mention them all.
No, we'd be
You
here
know?
forever. Yeah, we've probably kept the listeners back from doing something they need to go and do, so we'll let them
Yeah.
go. But thank you, sweetheart.
Oh, you're so welcome. It's
Come
my
back,
pleasure.
come
Thank you
back
for
and
asking
join
me.
me for another one.
I will. I will.
Okay. Thank you, sweetheart.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for your time and attention today. If you found this discussion engaging, show your love by liking and subscribing. Don't keep it a secret, tell your friends. Join us next week for more daring conversations on taboo topics that need to be explored. So until then, be safe, have fun, and keep expanding.